prayer, the stronger this energy is going to be. That's all we want to think about, is that it's energy that we are emitting from the bottom of our heart.
And I think in different books, always describes what other occasions of prayers, what happens. And it's always interesting for us to pay attention to that, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting to think about these colors that, you know, are coming out and stuff. So, and that's it. So we're going to go to our workbook. If you have any questions, please put on WhatsApp, because we are limited on time as always.
You guys do on time.
Please do.
A+ for both of you.
Oh,
Because there's a.
Oh, I think I'll need the.
No, I just put.
No, I will need the music, so.
But there's a music, no background. I use.
Yes.
Oh, that's what was making people sleepy. We found the root cause. So now, in order to start our study, it's going to be a funny passage of a movie, which I think you guys probably saw it before, and I think it's 5 minutes. I'm concerned with the time, but I might skip a little bit. But it's really interesting, like this movie. The movie is Ghost. If you haven't seen it, it's a good movie to see. And this passage, especially, like the spirit, his name is Sam. So he disincarnated, and he wants to give a message to his wife, right? And he found this place, and then like there's like a psychic reader, and that's Whoopi Goldberg, and her name is what's her name is.
Yeah. What is supposed to be sound like?
Let me see. So here he comes to the place, right? It's connected here. So.
I had this last week too. I remember that worked when I moved one of the cables.
It was playing, right, before?
There's no telling about that other world. So you've got to be a believer. Are you a believer? See, I believe.
She asked if she was a believer.
It's too difficult. I just can't seem to make contact. I don't feel his vibe. No, wait. I'm feeling something. Did he know someone by the name of Anna? Consuelo? Lucita? Julieta? Josefina? Linda? Maria? Sisi! She is Maria. Yes! Praise God, I knew he was with his mama.
Oh my God.
It's too difficult. It's two of them. I'm not sure I can do that. It's so trying. I pay more. How much? How much? $20.
Oh, way to go. Milk her for every penny.
Yes, I believe we can start again.
She was an advanced medium.
Welcome, Mrs. Santiago. You're fortunate today. The spirits are churning. My husband? I've seen.
Oh yeah, where?
Julio? Yes. I feel his vibration. I see him. How is he? How does he look? Oh, he's a handsome man. Mrs. Santiago and our fathers came to all lands. Oh, Julio. Julio's coming towards us. I see him. He's coming. He's there. He's dressed in a black suit. Black suit? Could be blue.
What a crock of shit.
Who is that? Julio! Where are you? Julio? Julio? Did you hear it? Damn it. Where are you? Julio? Who are you? Oh, Julio? Julio?
You can hear me?
Don't you hear him?
I don't believe this. Hey, you.
Julio?
Hey, you. My name is Sam Wheat. Listen, can you hear me? Sam Wheat. Say my name. Say it.
Leave me alone.
Sam Wheat. Say it. Say my name. Sam Wheat. Say it.
How come your name? Say something. Julio, Sam Wheat.
Okay, I think that's it's very interesting because she was pretending and then now she suddenly started to actually hear and then she was afraid, right? So it's very funny, the movie, like if you have a chance to see, but it's a clear, I mean, it's an example of mediumship because she was pretending like in the beginning, right? And she was trying to make a contact with the spirit, but there was no spirit there. But then the spirit of Sam, who was there just curious to see what was happening, and then he started talking, and then he also realized that she started to hear what he was saying. Then he was, oh, she can hear. So then he had a purpose to give a message, and then that's how the movie will follow. Right? This is right at the beginning of the movie, so I won't spoil the movie. I mean, it's an old movie, but even I need to see it again because it has been a while. It's 1990, right? So.
Yeah, 18 years. She's also demonstrating for us that it's a little bit that you're not supposed to be doing mediumship.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna go back now.
Spirits are not like on command. You can't always guarantee this happens, and obviously you make up lies when you put yourself in that position.
And she was charging too, right? Like a lot of things in this case. Like she was pretending, she was charging people, and she was using like even the knowledge she kind of gathered from the person, right? She started to say a lot of names, like one of these names should be it, right? And so that's our purpose here today. So we're going to study about mediumship. So what is it, a medium, right? That's a very important concept of the Spiritus doctrine because all of the work that we have is based on mediumship. Like all these books, like the books from André Luiz, right? They're from automatically written by Chico. They were only possible through the mediumship. And a medium is every individual who senses the influence of spirits to any degree of intensity. So that is what qualifies as a medium. So I would like to hear from you guys that I know that you all read the passage, but like what is the, what do you think like about mediumship? Do we have like some people that only certain people have this, how do you say,
Unity.
capacity to do the communication?
So we are all
In a
mediums in a certain, to a certain
To a
extent.
certain extent.
Yes,
So how do you
because-
guys interpret that?
Because we sense the spirits more or less. Some people have the sensitivity more is stronger, I would
Right.
say, right? And others don't really realize that they are being influenced by the spirits, but they are.
Intuition.
They have intuition. Sometimes they don't even notice. They think that the thoughts that they're coming to their minds are their own. But many times, and like in the spirits book say, in one of the questions that Kardec asked, it says that we are influenced by the spirits much more than we think, than we realize. So in a sense, we are all mediums, but some people have that mediumship stronger or more.
Yeah, we could think like different degrees, like
Right.
like the very basic, like every soul has it in a latent state. So even if you don't manifest, it's like it's one of the potentials of the soul, right? But some mediums are like they have more like a higher degree to have this influence or to capture
Possibilities.
the presence of a spirit or to give a message from a spirit. And that's the purpose of the class today, is to analyze those different types of mediumship. And of course, in those different types, also you have different degrees. Like you have very subtle mediumship. You can only like have like the intuition. That could also be qualified as a mediumship. Like you're not seeing the spirit, you're not, but that idea is so strong, and you see that it's somehow not what you're thinking, but that thinking is coming through you. So it can also be a form of
And sometimes it comes
precision.
through you dreams. Sometimes, like she said, intuition.
Yeah.
And
In the case of dreams, we cannot say that it's actually like mediumship, because we all have like a soul. Like we have a perispirit, and during the dream, we can kind of expand and be in contact with other spirit. But it's just a question that we see other, we can be in different places. Like we can see other people who are both incarnated or disincarnated, right? So I think even in this chapter he mentioned something about dreams.
that they can, that your perispirit can be in two different places at the same time, expand in a sense that, you know, it feels like the spirit is in different places at the same time. But there is a
Right.
kind of mediumship that is related to dreams and to the expansion of the perispirits. But for the purpose of this study, what you're saying is right, that, you know, the influence of the spirits come even when we are awake, even more so when we are awake.
Yeah, but what I said is like, for example, I can have a dream with my, let's say, my grandfather, right? And yet I can talk to him.
But that doesn't mean you're being a medium.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's my
Yes,
point.
of course.
Yeah,
There's
but I think what
dreams
you're
that
saying
are-
is a different type.
Yes.
But let's focus on what we I mean the types we have today, because I think we're gonna have other classes that are gonna cover everything, right? So yeah, and just to close this introduction, Kardec says here that nevertheless, this qualification is only practically applicable to those in whom the medianimic faculty is clearly characterized, producing well-marked results. So that means like that's what you said. What the different degrees and the mediums, they have like such a strong way to perceive or to give the communication, and that's what characterize. So and that's also very interesting because if you say like how do we say if someone is a medium or not a medium, right? That's only the person itself that can say that. Like that's why it's important for us to study what is the mediumship and how does it happen, so that anyone can have like a better understanding if what you experience and you may think that it's a mediumship. You by studying, by having this understanding, you'll be able to clarify, right, and know. So I'm just concerned with time. We have till 9:30, right?
Yes.
I have printed who has the book. Basically, I like to do these activities because it's a way for us to interact. And I suggest that you don't do the activity with the people next to you. But let's have like 4 groups. And we're going to study the types of mediumship. So I want you guys to get together, groups, 4 groups. And we're going to cover group 1 is going to be physical mediums and hearing mediums. Group 2 is speaking mediums and seeing mediums. And group 3 is 5, 6, and or maybe we do, how many we have? I think 1 is kind of big, right? I'll make the first one just 1 group then. Can we divide and then I can assign the groups? And then basically what I want you guys to summarize each of those mediumship types, and then we get together again too. And I'll give you guys 7 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So can you guys do number 1?
Open chair here.
How many people? I don't
2 and 3.
I think you dropped some.
Assign number.
Where's my book?
4, 5, 6, 7. So
Does anybody need extra?
if you need to read, you read. If you don't need, you can just talk about the main points, what is more caught your attention, and just to share that later, okay? So 9:13, okay? Please have a timekeeper in your group.
There's some girls who more of like classes we talked about on Saturday. Animal, magnetic fluid, and the phenomena happens. Can actually go for medicine and medicine. And it's your help around here.
Yeah, I guess I could say
That's what it is, you need in the coffee, but it's more
And also sometimes when you're a child,
so there's also so in that case, you're not actually screaming at, you're yelling at, you're
you should not.
isn't
Ask
necessarily
your child
as much as he
That's
is,
explain
the message.
Yeah, that's why a lot of kids.
He tells you that but like you can understand what like to some extent. Well, yeah, but they she gives you instruction on like, okay, you should have so it doesn't cost the person, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, the spiritual realm is when you direct. Remember that question?
So the way you get confused, but I want to hear from you what more like what comes to you in a way that you like more personal.
You know that question that came up about like
We have a very short discussion, but I want to hear from you guys. Which is
yeah, but if you go to certain places, I don't know what they have to but I imagine for
I think this number 7 is like also very easy to fraud, right?
Yeah.
But it's still possible. Like it's just it's interesting because Kardec say, oh, this is possible, but it also has been a source of a lot of fraud. So you think he noticed that.
So you gotta get the language that make sure it's not like this is right,
Yeah. Okay, let's go back, Jake. Everyone. My Portuguese is too. The clock is telling us that's 9:13. Okay, so let's go. As I mentioned to each group, I have a very short description just for us to see visually, and then but I want to hear from you guys what you guys think about each of the types of mediumship. So the first one is the physical mediums, and then one of the thing I found is like the picture from the dancing tables, right? Like all people putting the hands, and you see that the table is raised, right? So that's one example of physical mediums, right? Or physical mediumship, right? So now to the group.
Me? Okay. So the physical mediums, they are divided into like the voluntary mediums and natural or involuntary mediums. The voluntary mediums are those who are able to produce physical effects like used to happen very often at the beginning of the spirit, for example, the turning tables or the phenomena. Yeah. And they are voluntary because the medium is aware of what he's doing. He has purpose on what he's doing. And what else?
Well, yeah, so the voluntary medium uses his will. He wants to produce the phenomena. He's aware of his mediumship. He knows what's happening.
Yeah, but it basically cannot be used to more complex communication, for example, like the right. This is a different kind of mediumship.
To move objects, or to turn around tables, or to turn on and off the lights, that kind of thing.
It's very useful to specifically for the beginners who want to work for this kind of science.
They're more impressed with the phenomenon than with the mediumship itself. The other one? Okay, the involuntary is when the medium has no idea that he has that power. He has the mediumship. He is able to produce the phenomena, but for him, it's normal, it's natural. He doesn't have the understanding or the knowledge that's happening. That's not a common thing. And I gave him an example of my nephew who could see and talk to spirits since he was a baby, like learning how to talk, and he could see spirits, and he would not make any distinction between them, the dead people and people that are here incarnated. But yeah, involuntary, it just happens. You know, the medium has that power, but he's not aware of it.
Yeah, just as a compliment, like this can also happen sometimes. Like the spirit use the mediumship, and the person is not aware, but that person is the like medium that is being used to do some sort of physical manifestation, or some noise, or some any of these, like some like chair moving or like table moving. It can be also involuntary.
Spirits are creating the phenomena using the mediumship.
Yeah, but the medium is not aware, right? It's kind of involuntary, right? But it needs the fluids and
the chapter 14 of the medium's book, it says that the spirit use the most susceptible thing of the medium. Mm-hmm. So sometimes if it's the speaking, the listening, the seeing, or the material thing. And also we can realize in the chapter 14 also says to us that the physical, or the voluntary and then involuntary medium, they were very, very famous in the beginning of the spiritism, as Bruno says, to call attention for the other side, that it is other intelligence after life, the existence of the spirits. But that can also be evolved to other kind of mediumship, because there is an example in the small letters of the medium's book that says that Chico was a very powerful physical medium, and then in such point Emmanuel prohibited him of use those
faculties.
Yeah, those faculties. Those faculties because of the meaning of the mediumship. It's to give more like the show this kind of, that has the past the moment to just show this phenomena to everybody. Oh, because they need to do something meaningful with the mediumship.
And it's not just that, it's because also, complementing what you said, when a medium produces that phenomena, he utilizes a lot of his vital fluids.
Right, that's also mentioned.
So Chico wanted to, like the Emmanuel wanted Chico to preserve his vital fluids in order to utilize it in other mediumship, like psychographing books, for example, or speaking, right? Translating what the spirits are saying through him.
And also there's another point, like it was not necessary anymore, like as you mentioned, right? Like it was like his mission was not on that area, right? Even though he had that capacity. So yeah, that's a very good point.
His mission wasn't to impress people with phenomena. His mission was to educate people and to touch their hearts through the lessons that the spirits were bringing to us.
I think it's covered very well.
To finish, it says at the end that if you use this kind of mediumship responsibly, it doesn't cause any kind of bodily weakness. Unless you use like too much with the responsibility, it's gonna be a physical effect, but because of the irresponsibility, not because of this faculty.
Good, thanks. Yeah. Next group. So hearing.
Oh, hearing, yes.
Mediums, and I use the the picture of the movie when she started to hear.
Yeah, she's hearing. I mean, I guess there's two ways that you can hear. It's either in your mind, you can hear in your mind, the voice, or you can actually hear it out, like somebody's talking. Two ways. And so, I was asking Patricia. Apparently, she's a medium. I didn't know that. Right? Is that a secret? So, she's a medium. So, wow. How can you differentiate between your own thoughts and a spirit downloading thoughts to you? How can you really know the difference? That was my big question.
I said that in the beginning because you don't know exactly what is happening to you. You're a little bit confused and starting to think that it's animals, that it's you doing this. But when the time passed, you were starting to be a discipline, and you start to see that something that you didn't know, something that language that you are not familiar, the vocabulary that you are not familiar, and you start to feel that exactly it's not you. And the meaning of the medium is to help. So you start to see that you are in the medium, not to say that I'm seeing or talking, and you are even not seeing, maybe even talking by the spirit. So in the beginning, it's a little bit hard, but when you study the spirit and start to practice, it's becoming more naturally. And the thing that I want to say that when you say hearing mediums, we start to think that we are here with ears, but we not use ears to hear mediums. It's internal by perispiritus. I don't know if
Perispiritus.
Yeah. Perispiritus.
Yeah, we're gonna study that later.
Okay.
So, but yeah, thanks for
just
to give, like, it's important to note that it's the same. I think the next one is what speaking. But what you're saying is a topic that we're gonna cover later. So but it's interesting to know that it's not through the physical organ, right? Like it's through your perispirit. So the same thing like seeing, right? It's not even with eye closed you can see. So now it's the speaking. Then I have a picture of Rivaldo, who is visiting us next week, right?
Yeah, so many of us who listen to Rivaldo or see his videos, a whole person can see many times Bezerra de Menezes. This is spirit that was very important to charity and spiritism in Brazil. And right in the beginning, speaks through him, and you can see that his voice changes, the way he speaks changes, and he has this characteristic unique to the Bezerra. Even if you hear the Bezerra speaking through other mediums, you can see that that's a pattern. And basically here what's saying is that, like they said, like the spirit uses the organ that's more flexible to receive mediumship, and those type of speaking mediums is the vocal organ, so they connect, and it says also they might be aware or not even aware of what they're saying. Some of mediums don't remember, don't know what they were saying, and some have an intuition idea. And sometimes this mixes with other types of mediumship, and some of like Givaldo, he knows what he's speaking, even though it's business.
And also, this is one of the we use a lot, right? In nowadays, right? So in all the spiritist meeting, because it's easy, like it's just using the vocal, right? It could be any other thing, like, but it's so practical, like, and that's what's mostly used.
Serves a moral purpose.
Okay, so I'm advancing because the time is 9:30, right? So seeing mediums. And
when this kind of freedom see. Sometimes they don't know that if it's a spirit or not, or if it's a real person.
Like
but
the movie, right? I showed that the Sixth Sense, right?
In this situation that they talk about the second sight.
Yes, people that have second sight has is
One interesting thing I heard this week is that I was listening to Divaldo's interview on YouTube, and he said that these days he's seeing a lot more spirits.
Yes, I heard this too. Yeah.
And it's interesting, right? Like, and he said that I usually don't say, I don't like to kind of say those things, but he said that something different is happening nowadays, and he ends the interview saying that this is a sign that we are going through this transition, you know, like and it's interesting because he that's one thing that he said, and he was not trying to shock people, but just saying that something different is happening.
Does he say that what kind of spirits he's seeing, or no?
I think he mentioned like spirits that I think like on his talks, right? Maybe like a lot of spirits attending, you know, or like wanting to know more, but he doesn't give much. He was more careful in saying, I'm not saying this to impress people, but it's a thing that's happening to me these days. And then it's an example for you guys.
Yeah,
Somnambolic.
acts under the influence of their own spirit.
Somnambolic.
Because it was confusing for us, like, you know, like not every somnambulist. How do we pronounce it? Somnambulist is a medium, but you know, some are, some not.
So I think this is how do you say in English? Emancipation of the soul. It's more like in this state that you are like it's your own spirit, but you become more aware, like in a somnambulic state, right?
I don't think I've ever seen this definition of a somnambulist very like clear in any of the spiritist material, but I think it's kind of also the same thing as what can happen in trance, for example. So it's like being in an altered state of mind, and then you become a medium in that altered state of mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're able to expand your spiritual perception, and sometimes, but you cannot. Sometimes you don't see any spirits, and then in that case, it's just one faculty of your soul, but you don't do any communication. But what happens?
You're saying like you can communicate.
Yeah, but when you communicate, then it's a somnambolic mediumship. It can be or cannot be. It depends. But that's what she's saying. It's a state of a mental. How do you say the?
Well, it could be hypnotized. Like somebody could be hypnotized, like an altered state of mind.
Yeah.
They have chapter 14. I will ask. I read everything. They give a very good example of a boy. It's a number boy, 14, 15 years old, And then like when he was somnambulist in this stage, he looked at people and then he said that the people is sick. And then Kardec asked them to say what kind of medicine. And then the boy in that state said, no, I cannot tell you because the medic of the spirit, the medic spirit, it's not here to say that to me. I can see because I'm still with the spirit. Because when we are sleeping, like we can see everything. The spirit, no, he has somnambulist, but it's I think it's something in the beginning, as Catherine says, in the between, like
that
in that stage, but in that stage your spirit is free, so you have a more view, an open view, and you can see more.
Technically, somnambulism means sleepwalk.
Yeah.
Sleepwalk.
Yes. So you are sleeping.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
You are sleeping.
But you have this faculty. This example in the chapter 14, it's amazing because.
Yeah, and also it mentioned that he had more knowledge on that.
He had more knowledge, yes, because the spirit was seen, so he can see the illness, but he cannot tell the medicine because he was not the medium.
Yeah,
just
medium.
the spirit.
The spirit was not there.
The spirit.
So that's another important thing to note, that like in order to have like a medium, you need to have like a spirit. Okay,
Yeah.
so don't confuse, like you can be in a state that you're more aware, because we are also spirit. We know a lot of things that in our state now we are not aware, but in this somnambulic state, we can have access to that, like to that knowledge that we are not having like
right now.
Right? I think like when we would talk about this spiritual organs, so when the boy is somnambulic, he can see the specific part in the body of the person's heart. He can see the disease there with his spiritual eyes. It's not his physical eyes.
Yes,
right.
But he cannot give the medicine because he doesn't have the knowledge.
Yeah.
And when he was prescribed medicine before, because there was a doctor spirit with him. So that's why at that moment he was not being medium. He was just
himself. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Healing.
So healing mediums. So just like with everything else we're covering today, this deserves like probably a couple sessions itself. It's a very complicated topic, but suffice it to say that you can transmit your magnetic fluid to people for healing purposes. Some people have this gift much more strongly than others. Theoretically, everybody has some degree of the ability to transmit this. But in any case, so we're talking about, we're contrasting John of God in Brazil, who I think is a healing medium, but that's not actually the way he applies it. When you go there, he's actually a hearing medium. And he's giving you a message of what the instruction is that you need to go for your session, and then you come back later, and then maybe in that session he might be a healing medium. But for the most part, John of God is direct action from the spirits on you. Through in the spiritual world. So it's described as a spiritual hospital in the spiritual plane, and the spirits are attending to whatever your diagnosis is and doing the work directly. So on the other hand, we have the folks like up in Sacramento at the Brazilian Spiritual Healing, Brazilian Spiritual Healing. I don't know which name to use these days, but you have people there who do have healing mediumship abilities, and they are trained in many different ways of clearing your energies. Several of them can see things like your energy cords and things like that, and they know where to cut things, where to clean the energy. So it's a very complicated topic, a very interesting one.
Yeah, and I think we're very short on time, but I think you gave like very good summary of that. And I think we might come back to this topic during this course.
Yes.
And the last one, pneumatographic mediums.
That's when you have the power of writing. And that can be like, depending on the level of mediumship that you have, you may be able to write single word, or you can write hopeful click. Yeah. Should say here a good example of this.
It's not a very common one, right? So, but it's possible. Like you just put a paper here, and then after some time, the spirit can write something like a message, but without any intervention from like using a hand or a box or anything that like it was used before. Yeah, but in the psychography, you have like the hand of the medium, right? And it used like the contact with the medium. In both you need the medium, right? But in this this case, there is no need for like a pen or, right? So
They use the magnetic fluid to produce that kind
so
of
we know, we study about the vital fluid, right? And the spirits, they have like ability to manipulate that, and then they can use that to like put some pigments on the paper and then put the message using that, right?
So numerographic, you don't need a pen.
No. No.
Okay.
Neither mediums and.
So that's why I said that's also a source for fraud, because you can somehow, but even Kardec says that this is possible, but also a source of fraud, because people always try to do something like to impress, and then it's an easy thing to.
Have like acid-based paper, so like.
And I think that's probably why it's rare, because like why to do that if you can do the handwriting, right? So.
Do not try that at home.
No.
No.
So. Sorry, we went over a little bit, but I think that concludes our study. I think we're going to come back to this mediumship, and any questions, any final remarks? Oh, I think this is not. I think I didn't update that. That's my fault. Sorry.
Remember next week, there's no class.
Yeah, no class next week, and we have Divaldo, okay? So who would like to volunteer for the final prayer?
What kind of volunteering that we need?
So maybe we do the final prayer.
Yeah, we can talk after the prayer.
We'll answer you after. We're going to do the final prayer because it's already past time.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Daisy.
Let's look at our thoughts and be thankful for this class, for the inspiration that Marcelo and anybody else received. Let's be thankful for the learning, for this opportunity, and be in mind that each effort that we do for ourselves, it one step for our evolution, and let ask to our spiritual friends to never give up from us and stay with us in this so hard mission that we have here, and that we have a blessed week. So be it.
Thank you, everyone. I think you guys did a great job today, because I just conducted the. I like to do that.
So what is your question? What kind of help?
Yes. We need people for reception to help.
I think
I'll be there.
Direct them to the post station, to the place, direct them to their seats, because there will be